Hey, good morning. We're talking about drinking in public. So that's
Yeah, well,
Well, we're talking about it being honest is a little roll call. Denver Riggleman, former congressman, of course, owner of Silverback Bourbon Breweries. I think that's what you call it. Silverback Distilleries is Silverback. There you go. So it's coffee, tea, and bourbon today because we've got former Congressman Denver fucking Riggleman in his, as the kids say, and we've also got Mr. Lev Parnas. We're having coffee and tea. We do it every Saturday, and I've gotten to know Mr. Riggleman. You've got an interesting history with Mr. Riggleman, and it's interesting the confluence as it all comes together for coffee and tea this morning. It's not only about Mr. Riggleman's incredible bombshell text conversation that we had yesterday where we connected some really fucking serious J6 dots, which we're going to get to right off the top here. But this is also about some ongoing bullshittery. We're going to talk a little about tariffs. We're going to talk about a missing Russian. We're going to unload some truth today. So if you love your coffee and tea with a hot fucking dose of here's the real truth, this is the show for you. Share it with as many people as humanly possible. Hit that Chiron at the top. How do you guys know each other? Let's start there, right? I mean,
you want to go? You want to go? You want me to go? You do it, Denver.
so what a lot of people don't know.
Wait. Let me lay it out before. This really is, nobody knows this. Denver's good. You're right now, folks. You're going to get some information and some real spilling the tea that has been very secret for many years. But it's important because it's time for a lot of it to come out because we need to use that to save our democracy, and that's why Denver is a dear, longtime friend. A lot of people don't know that, but I'm glad that finally now the world can know. And Denver, tell the world how we became friends.
Okay, so let me go back. To 2022. So I had just done the 60 Minutes interview with Bill Whitaker on January 6th, the illicit phone calls, what was happening with Trump's team around him and the planning, and all the data we had with Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. So I get a surreptitious call through a go-between asking if I would meet with Hunter Biden's lawyers. That happened after 5 hours of trying to convince me. And when they showed me proof that, and by God, Lev's going to go, here we go. It's going to go right off the bat. When they showed me proof that Rudy Giuliani was part of the actual play and Steve Bannon, and when I saw that it was the exact same people that had pushed the January 6th conspiracy theories, I told them I would do it as long as that data was discoverable. And I had a call with Hunter Biden and his wonderful wife, and they were so emotional that they said I was the only person on earth they thought could be trusted to do this work because of what I did on the January 6th committee. Well, lo and behold, because Giuliani was involved, Abby Lowell was hired the same day I was. I'm giving history here. Lev is probably like, we're going to give history here that people I think will be absolutely stunned by, and things that have never been told because part of it's privacy for Lev on my part, to be honest. So, Lev, you check me, right? If I go too far on any of this.
No, enjoy. Our community is incredible. Let them enjoy it. It's time for it all, and I think it's important. So please go, Denver.
Well, when they told me, they said, we don't know where Lev Parnas is. And we really want to talk to him because we think that this was either accidentally Russian, right? Or it was a purposeful disinformation operation, which obviously it was purposeful, and we know that through proof and through data. And if anybody wants to know, and Lev will tell you this, there might be nobody on earth except for the people you have on this podcast that know more about the connections between January 6th conspiracy theories and Hunter Biden, and how they were both sort of the fulcrums to actually switch the election or to actually overturn a fair election. It was the exact same people, guys. So, and if you look at the downstream effects of this, but anyhow, they said, Denver, you're an intelligence officer. Can you find Lev Parnas? Can you find Lev? I said, yeah. So I called Olivia Troy and she knew where he lived. It was very difficult. But I look like a
super fucking sleuth.
Super
sleuthy Denver. Hey, do you know where Lev is? Yeah. Can we go fly? So
meanwhile, Lev is just a little background. Meanwhile, Lev just got out of prison. Literally, just got out of prison. I'm staying in my sister's house with an ankle bracelet. Literally, like still shocked, not knowing what world, and just got on Twitter, not even knowing what's going on. Continue that.
Yeah, and so exactly. And so I get in touch with Lev through Signal because that's actually how the J6 congressmen like to actually coordinate January 6th.
Well, they also
Anyway.
like to put out their fucking top secret war plans on Signet as well, right?
Yes, yeah.
Exactly, dude. You get it,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
You get it, brother. So
Yeah.
anyway, so Kevin Morris, and that, I think Lev people need to know.
Yeah.
So Hunter Biden's lawyer came down, private plane. Me, Olivia, lawyer team, went down to visit Lev, and that was the first time I met Lev in person. And it was actually, and Lev, it was splendid, right?
Yeah.
Now, I couldn't be in the room, Olivia, some of us couldn't be in the room because it was client attorney privilege. So whatever Lev told him, he told him. The issue and Lev, I love you, brother. The issue was when they got out of there, they're like, "Hey, Denver, you won't believe what Lev told us." No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. But so,
I'm sure.
but
I remember the only thing I will say. I remember is Kevin Morris when he started listening because he was a lawyer also. He was able to sit in on that. I remember Kevin came with the shirt. Remember also he took his shirt off. He started sweating. Kevin Morris took his shirt. He was
we had
like,
naked
he was like,
interrogation.
he was like this. He's like, holy shit.
Well, the thing is that what we saw immediately, the data that was presented to me by Biden's team, and if you guys remember, the former body man for Joe Biden came there, my good
Yes.
friend Vinny, the cyber guy. This is like
Vinny's
a real
great, by the
movie,
way. I
right?
met Vinny. Vinny, I love Vinny.
Love
Vinny's
Vinny, one of
great.
the best individuals you'll ever meet. They came and presented the evidence, and when I saw that John Paul McIsaac had taken the laptops and given them to his daddy, and he had also given them to Rudy Giuliani's attorney. And then he'd also written a freaking book that actually he said that he had given no forensic copies of the data to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, how in the hell is this even a thing, right? As I'm looking at this now, guys, remember, this is 2022. Lev is just out of jail. But Lev, I think, gave them the insight. And Lev showed me videos. And Lev, I'm going to let you talk about that with
Yeah.
proofs and things like that. I had already read the 2020 report from Ron Johnson, and who's the old fart? I just
What's
lost
his name?
Grassley. Yeah,
Grassley. Yeah, Grassley,
Grassley.
the one
Yeah,
that actually
yeah,
brought the.
yeah, yeah. It's like geriatric
Tales
diarrhea,
from
but
the Crypt Keeper Grassley.
yeah.
Yeah, Chuck.
Well, I saw that they had used Telezhenko, and I'm like, why are they using Ukrainian and Russian sources to get any kind of data on Hunter Biden? And so I was starting to put this together that it started to look like either it was a target of opportunity for grifters and for bad people like Rudy Giuliani. Remember, we didn't even know about Steve Bannon in China yet, and that Steve Bannon was working with Guo against Hunter Biden also, which we have the data there.
Simultaneously.
Yeah, so we didn't know this yet, but what I want to tell people is that when Lev sent me a video, my heart actually almost came out of my chest because not only did the video have people in the room, it was data specific and metadata tagged. Think about what I'm just telling everybody. I'm like, this is a real video. And so I called Lev, and Lev, you had sent me the video of your actual strategic meetings with Bruce and Rudy Giuliani. And I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
go really quick into that because you
Yeah.
actually, by the way, everybody, and I want to tell you about Lev. Lev translated the entire meeting for us. So I got to tell you the
Um,
things that people don't know, and what I want to tell people about Lev is that it is seldom, it is hardly ever that you meet somebody um, that changes not only who they are, but what they're doing. But what I want to tell people is Lev didn't change who he was. Lev came from a different environment of survival when all these other people willingly came from privilege to do what they did. And for Lev to do what he was doing after getting out of jail actually struck the team as so courageous as it was hard for us to actually process.
Mm.
And so, Lev, when you gave me that video, and if you want to speak to it very quickly, I think everybody here would want to know, it was shocking.
Denver, making me cry, bro. I love you. Thank you so much because you took me back, kind of a little PTSD of literally because that was when I just came out of prison at that time. I was living in my sister's house. I was going through so much, and I was, they were trying to like constantly remand me every week, every month. They were trying to figure out how to put me back in prison, and it was just such a crazy time in my life. And then when I got the call from Olivia Troy, I'll never forget. She said, uh, you don't have to. We understand the position you're in, but are you willing? We'd like to come down. And I said, absolutely. I was just like, because I think I was in a rush still, not even realizing what is actually going around me, what's happening. I was just in a rush for so long just to talk to somebody and really tell them because a lot of people don't realize that Bill Barr what he did, and it, again, has to do with the Epstein stuff because it was the same time frame, 2019. A lot of this coincides. It was about not getting down to the truth. It was shutting down the truth. It was covering up the truth. It was hidden. So I spent years of like inside built up, pent up trying to say what I knew and the truth because watching it on TV, even sitting in prison, how many times I would sit in prison and watch MSNBC or the news or Fox on TV and they'd be talking about some crazy shit. I'm like, that's not true. That's such lies. That's like, and the frustration would kill me. And that's why I started writing my book originally because I never thought I would ever get a chance to
Oh yeah,
testify in front of
I got this
Congress.
book on my shelf right over here.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love you,
right,
brother.
yeah.
I love you. I love you. I love you, my brother. And I got yours not outside, but I got them all inside the
Yes,
house,
yes.
which definitely recommend, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, so I'll tell you this much, and it was really hard. But when you guys came, I'll tell you one thing. When I saw you and Olivia, that gave me the kind of, the I'm a spiritual guy. My whole life I've been on like I feel it's a saying is I feel how my ass feels it. Like if it's too hot, I'm out. If it's and kind of like I felt you and Olivia were honest truth and they gave me. That's why I decided to speak to Abby and and Hunter's attorneys and then I remember just like once we started and once we started getting into it, me and you became closer and closer because you were working on all of the technical stuff and. One of the biggest problem a lot of you people didn't know is when the FBI and the DOJ took my phones and stuff, part of what they did is they erased my iCloud. They screwed me up so badly that for me never to be able to get the information, they tried to yeah, go ahead, Deborah, go ahead.
So this is so important, everybody listening. The same thing happened on J6 with erased government devices with Secret Service on, if guys remember, on January 5th, right? They had everything except January 5th or January 7th. And I remember that there was no way to recover that because a lot of people say, well, Denver, we can go back and get the data. We're cyber geniuses. No, you can't. There's ways to completely delete data. And if you guys don't believe that, I'm sorry. I got a bridge to sell you right in the Midwest.
Yeah, there's a guy right there that can attest to it. Yeah.
Right. And so when they get rid of Lev's data, there's two things that happen. And again, Lev knows I'm the biggest anti-conspiracy theorist on the planet. So I have to chalk it up to incompetence, but I want everybody to think about what Lev just said. And Lev, I want you to continue.
Yeah.
Once you delete the iCloud data, it's very difficult to get back. And here's what I want to, if you guys want some education on phones, what people don't realize is Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, US Cellular, and all the MVNOs like Cricket and all those type, right, that actually lease lines, they actually don't keep your text messages. Phone companies do not. It's actually kept in your iCloud. So now they might go back and be able to draw that off your phone if you keep them on your phone. What I'm talking about is the phone company itself has so many storage limitations, they can't keep all your text messages. So that's a misnomer. So what they did to Lev was by deleting it, whether by incompetence or deliberately. It doesn't matter whether you get shot on accident or shot on purpose. You're still getting shot, right? It doesn't matter. What happened was they deleted any evidence that Lev could use to defend himself or to show that other people were culpable.
Yeah. 100%. Because remember, they use the same deploy with
in the
me when
real
I was
world, we
crazy.
call that a real dick move, by the way. That's a real dick move.
Well, yeah.
Dean's an intelligence analyst.
Yeah, right. Dean
That's called a Delta Mary, a dick move.
Yeah.
It's a dick move.
Well, remember, they started out because it was part of the plan. Because while I was still in custody, they were calling my wife and telling her that I'm going crazy. That they're telling my son Aaron that don't listen to what your father's going to say because he might come out and start saying some great. He's losing it inside the prison because they held me in solitary. So they were trying to lay out the groundwork. So if I come out and say, "Hey, yeah, me, Rudy Giuliani, were this, and I met with this guy," and they'd say, "Really? Like how?" And I wouldn't have anything to prove it, and that's what started happening, and that was part of what the game plan was. Thank God to a couple of things. My wife still to this day, I don't know, we still don't know how she miraculously because like all of our iClouds were connected somehow. Yes, we had a shared account, and somehow everything that I would put on, she took it, she put it somewhere else. So miraculously, she had it, and we were able to uncover it of all of the same thing that they were trying to bury. And that's when it became just like a treasure trove of like videos of White House stuff, the text messages. Remember them, or the emails? I mean, emails from John. I mean, just think of,
He's got a
I mean,
big
a lot.
smile on his face.
Just think about, a lot of people don't even remember. We had emails from John Solomon, the same guy that right now is still running this mega operation, with Trump and everything. Journalists literally sending me saying, "Hey, our guy in the FBI just got us all of Hunter Biden's text bank records, all of their, and I'm sending him over to you, and we gotta figure out how. I mean, just like crazy shit like this, like that we would never have been able to find. And we've worked very close, and I tell you honestly, I think due to Denver's hard work, my hard work, we were able to. To me, it was personal because I was responsible for doing it to Hunter. I felt, besides doing the right thing, as part of my rehabilitation, part of my 12-step program, part of my getting back into a society and into a life where I want to be looked at differently. But I also had a personal chip on my shoulder because at some point, being in prison and having that time to spend, I understood that Hunter Biden was a son. He was a father. He was a human being. And that's the one thing. And that's the one thing we never looked at. That's the one thing Mega doesn't look at any of us. That's why I want to say, while you're in there, you are an object. You are just a tool. You are just another stepping stone to
you're a
where we
mark.
need to get to. You're a mark. So Hunter Biden, that's why it wasn't, when we did it, you never looked at him as, wait a second, what is his daughter going to see if she sees a picture of him with that crack pipe? Like, what are we doing? Like, how does that help? Like, but, and that really made me understand and put me on the mission to do whatever I could to actually help him. And those of you that saw the movie, obviously, that Rachel put out there, you saw the first, the God works in mysterious ways, but we were able to do full circle. And I speak to Hunter, literally, I spoke to him a couple of days ago, telling him that he needs to get out on this show. I said, get off your ass. I said, we got to do a show on Smirnov. I said, because I said, you gotta come out and tell some of the shit that's going on. But I think he's still a little bit worried because of what's.
I've seen him on some of the shows, Lev, and there's a couple things that he said that I'm like, dude, don't say that, right?
Yeah, I also said that.
Don't say that, right? And I am not going to tell everybody that because that would be against everything that I am, because I do know the data background on just about everything on Earth. I'm kidding, not on Earth. But when it comes to Jason Hunter, but I'm actually looking at his book called Beautiful Things, which I also have. And I think Beautiful Things, like when you wrote your book, Lev, I think Beautiful Things actually is what opened him up for the conspiracy theories when he wrote that book, because he was trying to come out and actually tell people what he had done, and he was sorry. And he did do some of these awful things. And I think when he did that, the grifters and the soulless, right, the people like John Solomon, right, who's an intellectual slug and really so morally decadent, that's somebody I wouldn't even want to watch my grandma, right? I mean, he's an awful human being. I think people need to realize that I was wrong. It wasn't just J6, and it just wasn't Hunter Biden. It was also Epstein. It's sort of like a three-headed hydra of criminality and immorality that we've been fighting, and the data actually supports it. It's the same people, everybody. It's the same freaking people. And past performance is indicative of future performance. Look at that. You're able to predict the future on data and how that data supports their past experiences. If you see them doing the same thing, you look for the data that actually says, oh, they must be doing that, or the data supporting their actual activities. That's why Lev was so important, guys.
What was this video? What was the video that you sent? Because we're kind of getting around the What was it, Lev?
It was a video, but I said several videos, but I think you're talking about the one with Rudy Giuliani. Is that the video
with Bruce?
With Bruce, where we're sitting there and talking, and they said that Hunter Biden did nothing wrong. There was not basically, and with the Ukrainians. So basically, okay. So if that's the video, I'll give him background. So
yeah.
You can't just gloss over that one, Lev.
I want to make sure because we had a lot of video.
So I fell out my chair.
Which terrible video was it that I sent you? Yeah,
dipping in a freaking river. I was so excited. I saw that video.
Yeah. So it was actually in black and white. We were also, it was me, Bruce, and I was the translator. Rudy Giuliani, he had some FBI, ex-FBI guy, I forgot his name, was in there, and we were on a call with Ukraine with the actual prosecutor that supposedly Joe Biden got rid of, the corrupt prosecutor, and that he came out and said that, oh, I was got rid of because I was going to look into Hunter Biden. Remember that guy? So yeah, Shokin, Victor Shokin was his name.
Victor Shokin,
So
yeah.
Victor Shokin. So we were on the phone with him, and this was the first interview. Rudy was they were taking a basically to go over where he was supposed to tell all the crimes that Hunter Biden did and how Joe Biden, basically how the criminality happened. So this was like maybe a 2 hour conversation, I want you to know. But in the 2 hour conversation, there was a 5 minute conversation that really was the heart of the whole thing, where after, Shokin going through this whole, like, they all do it. Putin does it. They give you this whole history of Russia, Ukraine, history of their, what's it called, to get you into them all, right, Denver? It goes into that whole thing. And then the punchline it comes in, and Rudy starts getting all upset. Like, he's like, listen, I understand a lot of bad things. That doesn't look good. Everything, all of this looks bad. But I need concrete. I need you to tell me: did Hunter Biden? Did he take money? Was there a bag? Was there a bribery? Like, I'm paraphrasing, folks. Exactly. But it really goes into him, right? And then you hear this like 5 second quietness, and then all of a sudden you hear no, but. And when Abby and you got, a lot of people don't know, also Denver, I'm going to remind you, a lot of people don't know. You have to keep in mind, and this is, Hunter went through a real tough time during this period. Hunter was so, besides drugs, besides family issues, and by having people around him like Bruce, like also what's his name, the other guy that just got
Kosh?
pardoned. No, the guy that got pardoned, his college buddy,
Oh, yeah,
his
what's his
partner.
his
You,
partner, which I know
you,
exact got his
yeah,
face right, yeah.
it's when we think of it. So anyway, he's now on Mega. He got pardoned by Trump because him and Tony Bobulinski are now best friends and stuff like that. But uh, Hunter had people around him that basically were locally, that from college, from this, that knew him so well, that were using Devin Archer. I just
Yep,
remember
Devin
Devin
Archer.
Archer.
Yep,
So Devin Archer basically was the key to it. Him and Bruce, were manipulating. They knew Hunter needed money for drugs. They knew Hunter needed money to pay bills, and because he was living that crazy life. So they used the carrot by saying, "Oh, all you gotta do is just put your name on the board. We got all of this taken care of, and you're gonna get 80 grand a month doing nothing." So for Hunter at the time in his life, it was like, "Fuck yeah, let's roll with it."
he wrote
And
about it, right, Lev? He even wrote about
yeah,
it,
exactly,
that money was for his drug habit, and he would spend
exactly.
I couldn't believe he was spending 50 to 60,000 a month
Oh
or
yeah.
something like that on drugs, yeah,
Oh
so
yeah, and girls. Don't forget, it was girls and
and
drugs, and
girls.
it was that whole thing, and how much they were stealing from him that we later found out. The same. I mean, it was just that lifestyle. And make a long story short, the one thing that I think that one day when me and Hunter will come out and talk, and I'm just gonna give you guys a tease, but I'll leave it at that. Is I think the biggest thing me and Hunter that and everybody realized is I was able to fill in a lot of blanks in Hunter's life that he had no idea was going on, because he had just blacked. Though there were parts of his life that he went
Didn't
through
remember.
and didn't remember, didn't know, and that was, I think, the biggest key, was because I was the guy on the other side that could fill in the holes, like, and tell him who was taking him, what was going, why he was where he was, what happened afterwards, who planned on taking him there and stuff like that. And I think that really also not only helped him himself to open up and remember, and but I saw a lot of Hunter's transition over the year, or more than we were dealing with all of this, to see him really start understanding. Because in the beginning, yeah, he had hatred for Devin Archer and all, but he couldn't understand the actual what was being done. Like, like his birthday party, they said, well, we're gonna take you to Kazakhstan, or I mean Moscow. We're gonna take you to Moscow, we'll throw you a party. Yes, he party time. But while the party's going on, there's things happening, and then one of those trips is how the infamous laptop, the hard drive, actually that's what actually began it when the FSB and the Ukrainians got the hard drive, and then the rest is history.
Well, I mean, look at the names around it, right? Dean and Lev and Dean. This is what's crazy was, listen, guys, I love the world. But when I see Telizhenko, Prus, Derkash, Smirnov, those names should probably be some kind of hit a lever in your head that maybe this isn't great that we have people that were sanctioned by the US government giving data on the Bidens and being used in hearings.
Yeah, and the crazy part, I don't know if you know because because I have a lot of I still continue with Russia. So Andrei Derkach, he ran away from he is wanted not only in the United States, he's also wanted in Ukraine. He is now a senator in Russia. He's an official senator in Russia, lives in
Yep.
Russia. He is also the one that has started him and my sources. I broke the story like 5 months ago. Nobody's talking about it yet. We'll get to that. But when Dmitriev, Kirill Dmitriev was here, Derkach handed over to him a lot of information that started all of the that started the attacks on like Yermak and all of the people surrounding Zelensky to go after the corruption stuff, because a lot of that stuff was not new stuff. It had to do with going back to when Derkach was still part of the Ukrainian hierarchy, and a lot of those conversations and tapes were happening in his office, and it was as another Russian plan that was pushed through Kushner and Witkoff straight to what's his name, Rubio, and remember, and they had egg on their face with that whole thing.
It's an incredible story, and I think what again when you talk to Lev, I want to tell everybody there was, and I want to say this, Lev, and I love you, so I'm going to say it is that when we came back after talking to Lev, everybody was like, "Holy shit!" And the only dubious person there on the data was me, and that's why that the trust but verify. And Lev, I want to tell you this is that I'm like, listen, I've dealt so much with so many of these people in J6. I think Lev's telling the truth, but we got to validate it, which was validated in time, Lev.
I
And I want
love
to,
you, man.
and I want to tell people as an intelligence officer, somebody who did that for 20 years, my biggest fear, right, with Lev was that Lev was doing the same thing that I'd seen other people do, like sitting in the deposition for Enrique Tarrio, right, who tried to talk around saying he was better. He knew he had to fix it from the inside. And then he said that Roger Stone was his mentor. So I knew there was an issue. Um, but Lev did make that turn, and I just want to tell people if Lev's telling you what's happening, it's not because I saw the metadata, it's not because I saw the calls or the text, it's because Lev was there. And and when you're talking about J6, when you're talking about Hunter Biden, when you're talking about Epstein, you are looking at this weird intersection where the people here, me, Dean, Lev, talking about this. The intersection is huge because when you look at the people, if it's people that have done bad things in the past, they usually would do bad things in the future. Lev was working, I think, as a true believer, and I know, Lev, you told me this. And if I go too far, you let me know. But when Lev saw that they would sell him out in a second, and they were, inveterate liars, and they were trying to destroy people, Lev turned because he's a good guy, and I think the soul comes out. So I just want to say that I
Thank you.
apologize for being dubious initially for the first 7 or 8 days after we saw you, but that once I validated the data, I'm like, okay, I think I can like Lev.
Well,
I
you know,
think I like Lev. I think he's
I,
he's super straight up.
I want to say, Denver, that's the biggest, compliment that you could give me, and I really appreciate, because I've always, from my first day, the one thing that I always kept saying, you don't have to like me, you don't have to like what I did, but I have the receipts, and I'm glad that, because, after that, I'm glad, because that is the real validation, is because the receipts, the proof, the guy, because a lot of people say a lot of things, and till this day, even what we're seeing happen with the Epstein files, you see all the receipts. We see a name drop. They're talking about, and then they'll say something else. So just like with Howard Lutnick, and there were others. Receipts are facts. Data, in fact. That's why Denver and the things. That's why I think this is a good time. Let's switch over a little bit to the January 6th, because this is what this man, and a lot of people don't know, is behind Denver was the key to a lot of the information. There was the text messages, the information going back. So Denver, why don't you take us back a little bit, because the one thing he's 100% right. It's all the same people. It's all the same active. It's the Roger Stones, the Steve Bannons. It's the obviously
The
Donald
Don
Trump,
Juniors,
the Don Juniors, Stephen Millers. It's
Mark
all the same.
Meadows.
Mark Meadows, also Mark Meadows. And me and Denver spoke about Mark Meadows so many times, and I can't wait to get into some of this stuff, because even I don't know a lot of this stuff. So I'm excited myself.
Well, let's jump.
Yeah,
let's jump into that, because Denver ripped the cover off of 5 texts yesterday. 5 texts we went through. He's got what, 2,319 texts?
Look at you! You're
something like that.
You're like an elephant, man.
Right? He's amazing. I love it.
I just listen because I know when to shut the fuck up and pay attention to people who've been through it. This is an honor to do this with you guys. But let's get back to this, because you got 2,319 text messages. And Mark Meadows, at some point in time when you were on the J6 committee, decided he would release. And when he realized what he released, he took those back, but not before a very astute Denver Riggleman's like, I'll take those, thank you very much, and put them in place for safekeeping. And the 5 emails we went over yesterday, they indicted every level of the Trump regime, from Don Jr. to Ben Carson to Clarence and Ginny fucking Thomas. That since the 4th of fucking November in Denver, you get into it, because this is the first time you've really started to talk about this. I know it's laid out a little bit for people in The Breach, which is your book, and everybody should read it. It's about January 6th, and it's an incredible accounting.
Absolutely. Where is your book? Show, Denver. That's so people can see.
Right.
That's very important.
There.
It's back there.
It's right by my book. It's right by my book. I love Denver. But definitely, we'll put a link to it if you haven't read it. I mean, this is an information source. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, folks, before you go, while he's giving you this thing, I recommend, because this part of the section is you could switch from coffee and tea to bourbon. This is time for some bourbon. Yeah, because you're gonna get into some stuff that you're gonna hear. So it's bourbon time. Go ahead, Dean.
When I was in my book, I think I called them the bourbon text, because I had to start drinking. I think people need to realize I was the first one to see them, except for our tech team, right, who actually did the identity resolution. When Mark Meadows gave us all the text messages, he did not have the names attached to the phone numbers. So we had to backwards validate the metadata, do reverse and forward lookups to make sure we had the correct phone numbers. And, and people like Jenny Thomas actually had registered her phones under her maiden name. So we had to actually try to navigate that also. So all those things were happening. But, I want to quickly, I was talking about this with Dean Lev yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I think, when people can see the show, Dean, thank you for the questions. And I mean, they were incisive. I'm always afraid I'm going to bore people with the facts of what happened on January 6th. But I think what I want to tell people is what happened on January 6th, that planning paradigm, that planning tree that they utilized will be utilized for 26 and 28. And I think when Dean and I were talking yesterday, and Lev, this was incredible. You can tell the future with data and past performance. And I'm almost wondering if with these discussions, like, I'm honored that you two would invite me today. I mean, it's awesome, because there was a time where I'd pretty much given up, that there was no way after 4 or 5 years I could get the truth out just based on data and facts. Lev, you said something earlier. Ones and zeros are the best witnesses.
Yep.
Data, right? And so when you go back and you see the very first text messages, people don't realize that the January 6th committee could not do a criminal investigation, only a public trust investigation. The only text messages we got that we can get from individuals from November 1st, 2020 to January 30th, 2021. But when I saw the first text from November 4th that Dean just mentioned, and saw that they were already outlining the plan for 3 to 4 different ways to steal the election based on alternate electors and based on Mike Pence, that started, guys, just think about this, that started 2 months before January 6th. That we know of, even though I know it started earlier because we had other data, because I had Ali Alexander's text. We had a lot of shite, okay? But then we were able to metadata tag all of that and identify that metadata as true. And once the lawyer for Meadows came out and said the texts were real, Katie barred the door, baby, right? It was dragging axes and cutting off heads. And I think when you see that there are so many people at government, even at the cabinet level, knew about this, people need to understand that the same pattern, the same people will do the same thing come the midterms and come 2028. And I think that's why it's important for people to know the process. I thought my book was done. I literally was like, yeah, it was a New York Times bestseller, but it didn't rock it. And I know part of it was, people need to know Lev was honest, Dean's been honest, I'll be honest. The fact that the committee came after me because they came after me and tried to discredit me because I left the committee early based on some things I didn't want to talk about because I didn't want the committee's job to be in jeopardy in any way. I kept that to myself for years. And it's because I want to protect the American public. And the fact is, when it gets down to it, the J6 committee did an awesome job. My book outlines it. But also the J6 committee was ill-equipped to do a full counterterrorism investigation.
That's right.
So you had two different things happening, trying to do the right thing, but incapable of doing the right thing because of funding and also limitations for law enforcement. When I wrote the book, I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that I thought the FBI would take over. The FBI failed. And we can say whether on purpose or accident, it doesn't matter. I'm not out there judging. I'm just telling that the failure has that ripple effect is what's costing us today. And those conspiracy theories is why Donald Trump is in office today. So when Dean and Lev are talking about this and Dean talks about our conversation yesterday, I want to give this background, is that I don't know how far I should go. I don't know what that limit is. All I know is that when Scott Perry tells Cleta Mitchell to start a C4 to do cyber investigations, it means Congress and the executive branch was aware of the cyber ninjas and people trying to manipulate cyber investigations to steal votes. So Scott Perry was a sitting congressman. When Scott Perry says, hey, I need to go to Signal because we can't talk about this on open source. We have a U.S. congressman who does not want his data or his words to be tracked, so they went encrypted. Now you have congressional representatives going completely encrypted. And on November 12th, when he outlines the entire plan with this many words on one page, guys, when he outlines that, that's a sitting congressman. When we have 36 congressional representatives in the call records for the people that day, that should be an issue. So I guess what I'm telling folks is obviously it was a coup attempt. You can't say, oh my God, it was just a bunch of
100%.
randos, right? When there was 4 or 5 different ways to overturn the election that was outlined by the people closest to Trump. Mark Meadows was the chief of staff.
Yep.
Denny Thomason here was in direct contact with Jared Kushner and Congress.
Yep. Yeah, and first of all, a lot of people are asking, folks, the name of the book.
Stunning. It's
stunning.
fucking stunning.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's validated. It's validated. It's just so easy.
Yeah,
It's easy easy because they said it. It's not. I'm not a genius. Hey
you don't even
guys,
have to. Yeah.
Denver Riggleman's a hot guy. Look, no, I'm kidding.
Lev's innocent. Dean has a huge hammer. I get it. I know it was all the truth in there. But listen, here's the thing. Before and Lev, I apologize. I need to kind of jump in because what you're not accounting for in your conversation, Denver, which you touched on yesterday, and I'm going to take it there because we're honest people, and you said we're allowed to be. Is it wasn't just ill-equipped, FBI failed. There was some serious political interest being served in not releasing this fucking roadmap to how this started and who was involved. And I want to touch on that because there are a lot of disenfranchised American voters right now who sit there and go, I hate the GOP and the Democrats are useless and everybody that was trying to get to the bottom of it, whether it's J6 or Merrick Garland and Georgia, there are some people who are really upset at the institution of politics and what it didn't do for the people. That was on the precipice of it. And guys like you were also on the precipice of it that were shut down. But there are political interests in this. And I want you to really fucking focus on that for time to time, because that's the part that people are sitting back going, okay, ill-equipped, FBI failed. It was a public service, public hearing. It wasn't a criminal investigation. We get it. But let's be serious. Liz Cheney didn't want you to go public with a bunch of this information either, right?
I don't think she wanted to dig too deeply into the investigation because they were so locked in on Trump. Sometimes, and when I say ill-equipped, everybody can backwards rationalize, but the one person who's allowed to do a hot wash is me. Because if we never had actually deciphered the Meadows text, there was no plan for investigation.
Yep.
Right? And Adam has said that. Adam, and if you think about it, so many things could be true at once. It's just not two things, right? We can say that every committee member put their life on the line. They did. We can say that maybe there were different motives because about protecting America. It could be that Liz and Benny wanted Trump to be the main focus. That's great. Great. Trump is a bad actor in all of this. I mean, I guess that goes without saying. But why in the hell weren't we concentrating more on the people that the phone records exploded on us, like Roger Stone, Alex Jones, right? Rudy Giuliani,
Yeah, no,
right?
yeah.
Why was Rudy Giuliani using so many multiple phone numbers, right?
I'll tell you.
Right? 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 I know. Lev's like,
Yeah. Why? Why? Yeah. Why did he have so many phone numbers? Why did he have so many phone numbers?
I feel like Arnold Horshack. Oh, I know.
Right?
Mr. Carter, I know.
Why didn't the committee release all of the phone calls with metadata that we had when Trump's team lied about the phone logs that day? Phone logs are different from phone records, right? The 187 minutes and the 7 hours of actually no phone log injects. Are you kidding me? Right? That's because they were hiding stuff. It's not that hard to make those leaps. But I think when you're looking at this is that they're like, we have to make sure everybody knows how bad Trump is. I get it. My heart's full. They did a great job. The J6 report, everybody should read. It's fantastic. The issue is we didn't have the resources, nor do we have the aligned mission to take everybody. And I wanted to take everybody. So part of it could be maybe I was leaning too far forward. Maybe I didn't understand the mission. But once you see the data, it's hard to go backwards, right? When you only see the one person, we couldn't get Roger Stone's phone records, right? He fought them. But when we did a actual context searches on his phone number on the other phone records, only one person was connected to all the 5 major planning groups, Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. You know who that one person was?
Roger Stone.
And I thought Roger Stone should have been the number one investigative target for the J6 committee. Now everybody's like, you suck, Den. You know, we were going after Trump. I get it. But I thought we could use Roger Stone and his assistants, because they didn't fight their phone records, to actually build a metadata plan and a targeting plan to break them down during interrogations. But I'm not a lawyer, right? I'm a counterterrorism analyst. I'm a targeter. I'm a warheads on foreheads guy, right? That's how I'm wired, right? I'm like, I got the data. Let's go get them.
You've killed a lot of terrorists, I'm guessing, is what you're saying.
Well, listen, I knew everything was cooked when they interviewed Jenny not under oath. That's when I knew that I might as well.
Game over.
Farting in the wind for a while. And now that all the data cannot be found, the 30 million lines of code, right? The 30 million lines of data, all the millions of hard pages of phone records, all of the actual specific linking technologies we utilize with IBM to link the thing called the monster, that data cannot be found. I've had lawyers looking for the archives trying to get it. So I felt like, guys, let me go full circle because this is your show. I felt coming full circle that I almost got to a point. I know people are going to be like, oh my God, I almost got to a point. I'm like, why did I do this? Why did I put myself out there again? Why did I officiate a gay wedding and get destroyed by the Republican Party and hated by both sides of the aisle? Why did I try to lean so far forward on the J6 committee and then my own teammates tried to undermine me when I left and lied, saying I was under NDA and government contracts? I wasn't. I was a government employee, not under an NDA. And by the way, right, when you're looking at the data, they would have never been there. And the fact that they threw me under the bus, not even knowing what my book was going to be about, was absolutely devastating to me. And thank God for the Adam Kinzingers of the world who's gone out and said Denver was the man, you know? So there's people who like, that was bullshit and that was awful. And I know who did it. And I know it was the leadership of the committee. I know they were full of shit. And I know they locked me out. Once I started locking on to Jenny and Clarence Thomas, they locked me out of the senior meeting.
There you go.
It was over.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
go. That's it, right? Yeah, that's what I wanted to get to, is that you got fucked, and you get to that point. Well, you did. I mean, they fucking what did I say earlier? They fucking did you wrong.
It was a misalignment of mission.
Well, that's a nice way to say it, that you got fucked. But, you went in there bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, hoping to get information, hoping that you could help the American people understand what was going on, what happened that day. You got underneath it. You prepared the documents, and not only did documents and 30 million lines of code go missing since then, that portion of the investigation was shut down because you said, hey, we need to start looking into publicly Jenny and Clarence. We need to look into the Thomas clan.
Okay.
We have these text messages. Yes.
Wanted to subpoena them. That's where I think I probably messed up by the committee, as I sent an official briefing that I wanted to subpoena Clarence and Jenny.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You wanted to subpoena the Thomases.
I did both of them because once I read the text message where she
How
said
could you not? Yeah,
And
exactly.
they
well,
and they said no, and that was the end of that. That was the end of your time on the J6 committee. Is that correct?
yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell. Yeah, and I just want to touch on a lot of
Well,
this
I
stuff because
decided that was
Holy
the end.
fuck,
Well, I mean, I
dude.
listen. Once that happened, I knew the writing was on the wall. There had already been some issues, and some misrepresentations and some things that had happened where I was very angry. And I think part of it too is I should have listen. I made a mistake. I should have stuck it out regardless because that was the right thing to do. But I was unhappy. But I also, I was to a point. I'm like, I think I know where this is going to go. When I read the J6 report, it was actually Tom Jocelyn was one of the major authors, did a great job. He also didn't have all of the data. And I just don't, I think we needed more time, but we needed more resources on the analytics side, Dean. And so I have to be really careful because part of it too is I think that's why I've looked back with such sadness is that regardless of the fallout of what I did, I should have been the last one on the boat. Um, I shouldn't have left. And
Mm,
but I also knew that if I wasn't in the planning sessions after providing the data, okay, let's be even more honest. I knew I couldn't validate the products coming out of the committee if I was left out of the actual high level meetings. And I didn't want to be part of anything where I couldn't validate the information before it was released. Because if it was
mm.
wrong, I thought there was an accountability issue. Now, was it? No, but it just didn't come out. So that's the whole issue, and that's the stuff that I had to fight with, and it's something I've lost sleep over, and I was at fault for that, and and that's something that's I'm going to have to live with. Maybe I should have stuck it out.
Well, Dan, I listen. I think both of you. There's a correlation here, right? At the time you're looking for the truth. Lev is trying to give people the truth, and you're both getting fucked around by both sides of the people that don't want you to have the specific truth that you were looking for. And then we talk about that level of depression that sets in. And it doesn't matter who you are. You could be fucking
yeah,
Lev goddamn Parnas. You could be Denver fucking Riggleman. You could be Dean Blundell. When you go into something with your eyes wide open and you're going to put your identity into it and you're going to put all your effort into it because you truly believe you can get a great result, and both sides tell you to go fuck your hat, there is nothing more depressing. There is nothing like you don't feel like pissing into the wind anymore at that point, right? Whether it's, Lev getting tuned up by MAGA and then getting tuned up by the Democrats on the other side, whether it's you getting tuned up by MAGA trying to help the Democrats and the Democrats saying, no, we don't need that level of help. You're like, well, this is what you fucking asked me to do. And now you're abusing the privilege of my company and my expertise. So go fuck yourself. And that affects somebody. And what's interesting is that I know you both individually very well. You guys, your timeline of how disenfranchised you became trying to get a result, it matches up perfectly. You guys have both been through the wash, right? And to see you guys here today going, you know what, fuck it, let's just tell the truth. Let's read some texts and go for
yeah.
broke. Because the institutions that we were trying to serve, because we believed in those institutions for specific reasons, whether they be aligned or not, have fucked you over. And that's just the bottom line, right? That's the truth. And so for
Well,
us to be having this conversation, I think is fucking incredible. I think it's great news.
yeah, no,
Well,
and I'm so privileged to have you here, Denver. I'm so happy. It's took a while, but I'm glad we're here together. But it's they don't only fuck us; they fucked each and every American citizen. They're screwing each and every one of us are being screwed because if they could do it to me or to Denver, to people that are out there actually helping to try to save America, think about how the regular voter is, how screwed you're getting, and that's why I think the most important thing, and I think Denver said out of that is we need change. We need to get rid of because you gotta understand it doesn't matter any business, any place. When somebody's in there for 40 years, when somebody's in there for 30 years, when somebody they get complacent. Over time, they make deals. They make deals with the devil. They make deals. And that's why eventually, sometimes when you turn around and say, how could they possibly vote on that? It's because they owe somebody a favor. And we cannot have the government run like a mob machine. We cannot have it run like like I owe you a quid pro quo constantly. We need it to be run for the people. That's why we need term limits. We need to clean house. We need to get fresh blood in there. We need to get guys like Denver back into places like that, and making sure to get accountability. And I'll tell you another thing, just to give a little spice to the story, Denver. I don't know if me and you spoke about this even. I think we did a little bit about it, but this whole thing started prior to even November of the election. I remember Rudy speaking with Rudy in what was it, April, May, or June? I don't even remember the month exactly of 2019, talking about how, because they were so worried about the Biden effect and what was going on, and that they were basically, Rudy was talking about, that's what, and if you go look back, that's when Trump started already laying out the groundwork that the elections are going to be stolen, the elections are going to be, it was months before the actual elections when the plan got into effect. Now, the interesting part that I think that what Denver and his metal technology and all of this uncovered, and that I've been saying and that show the proof, is they are not all on the same sides. They are all separate groups. They're all the Bannons, the Giulianis, the Roger Stones. They hate each other. They're all trying to get, what I'm saying, and that is why they're all screwing
I want
up.
those text messages.
They do hate each other. They hate each other.
Do they
hate
really?
each other. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's no. What I'm saying to you, the shit that they talk about each other, and then you could see it going on even nonstop. If you go into these mega right now, what's going on with Tucker Carlson and what's going on with Laura Loomer, and
Oh
now
yeah,
you got
Ben Shapiro and
oh, now you got Huckabee. Now you got Huckabee in there. That there's in there. It's crazy. Go ahead, Denver. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was saying they're nuts.
Yeah. Oh
They're,
yeah.
they're just crazy. But the thing is, guys, is January. I'm watching some of the comments, right, and I want to address is that sadly, there's no going back on January 6th. That ship has sailed. There's not going to be any
Yeah.
more investigations. That stuff's gone.
Mhm.
Stop. Right. And sadly, we can point fingers at who failed, who didn't fail, right? The people who tried. But January 6th can be a learning lesson to stop any of these type of movements in the future. So educate yourself on the specific individuals. So if you track the individuals, that'll show you the path. Don't worry about, trying to go through, conspiracy theories of what they might do. Watch what they do and look what they did in the past, and you can start getting predictive on what's going to happen. If you think about 2026, are they going to try to steal the election with super space-based laser satellites? No. It's going to be process-based, right? It's process-based.
Yes.
It's what can they do to disenfranchise? Because Republicans right now have to win through subtraction, not addition. So if you think about that in your head, if you think, oh my goodness, they have to disenfranchise and they have to damper excitement on Democrats or independents, that's how you start basing your actually analytical capability or baseline.
Mm.
So that's just a
Well,
hint for the day, I guess.
Denver, you have stepped into something I am dying to speak to you because of some of the breaking stuff that I've been breaking a couple of days ago, and I'm hearing about Tulsi Gabbard. I want to talk to you about Georgia and Tulsi Gabbard also, but definitely remind me about Rick Perry when we get into the text messages, and also about burner phones. And so let me quickly just answer before we get to Tulsi Gabbard. So you guys asked why did Rudy have phones, and I want to give you like a quick story about how all of this transpired. So going back to 2000, early part of 2019, when I
I
was
feel
working.
sorry. I feel like I'm having coffee and tea with two guys who know more about January 6th than anybody on the planet. Thank you very much for this. Go ahead.
Yeah. And folks, smash those hearts. First of all, before we go forward, if you haven't yet, make sure you go click on and make sure you subscribe to Denver, become a paid subscriber, join his team, and get his book, The Breach, because all of this we're talking about, it's The Breach. That's the name of the book. Denver, where can they get? Amazon or on your site?
Everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere.
Amazon, Mullen, Holt,
Everywhere.
Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
It was a New York Times bestseller. They should have made it into a movie. I know.
Oh, we still got play. Listen, first let's save our democracy. We got lots of movies ahead, documentaries, movies ahead of us. Because you can't make.
We'll do a deal for your movie book, your book on it. We'll do it after we're done today. We'll do it. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
First I'll say the country, but burner. So the burner phone started like this. So in 2019, like sometime around, I think it was March, when the BLT team was formulated and started already coming to effect, and BLT team was me, Rudy Giuliani, John Solomon, Victoria Tunzing, Joe DeGenova. These were all Rudy's lawyers. So we were basically, that's when I got introduced to Devin Nunes. Devin Nunes, who was back then the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, who actually oversaw the impeachment, which is another.
He's a creepy fucker too. I haven't seen that guy blink once.
He is one of the
Snake.
probably most evil. Yeah, him and I don't know, Stephen Miller, him. Like, I mean, this is a guy like Devin Nunes. So he had a right hand and a left hand. His one was Derek Harvey, one was Kash Patel. Kash Patel was born from the Devin Nunes era, which I worked very close with. That, we're not going to spend a whole time about the Kash Patel, but I remember very importantly that because we also had FBI, CIA were working, because remember, we were working on Venezuela. And so there were certain CIA people that were working with us with the Maduro stuff, and basically we were told that, because we were using WhatsApp at the time. And then all of a sudden, they came to us and said, you can't use WhatsApp. You got everybody switch over to Signal. Everybody switch over to Signal, and then everybody switch over to Proton Mail. Proton, just think about this. This is
Proton Mail encrypted end to end, $56 a month, guys.
Right. This is what I just tell you. Now, you guys know me by now. I'm the farthest from technology. I have no clue of what's it called. So that's why another thing.
How angry are you getting every time someone's like, download this new app? You're like, because you're middle-aged like me, where you're like, oh, fuck, another app. You got to be kidding me.
I have no idea. Yeah, I had so many apps. I had Telegram, Amazon, Firo, Shmio.
That alone would prevent me from being in the mob or taking part in anything untowards with the government. Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous. I got one and I don't even want it.
I had 6 phones. I had SIM cards that I would go when I would go to a different country. I would change. I mean, I can't tell you the shit that I went through. Like, it was like, I look back at it, Denver, sometimes right now, and I think to myself, what the? It's like, still, I never even had a chance to really sit back and really think about some of the.
Dude, so fucking stressful. Jesus.
I thought that was the life. And I thought that was the life. I thought I'm living the
life. There's thousands of people would ever watch. I just want to give them a quick tutorial quick. If you guys really want to protect yourself, download 2Phone. That actually gives you another phone number that you can change when you want to, and also download 3Mo. If you have those 2 apps, you don't need a burner phone. Go ahead, Lev.
Well,
you could have saved him thousands of dollars a month like 5 years ago, dude.
Yeah. So we got switched over all to Proton. You're such a hilarious. So you
switched over to Pro. It's just like there's a technology middle-age question here that we need to start really appreciating, is how fucking stressful it was for 50-year-old Lev to go, oh my God, which phone is for fucking Ukraine and which SIM cards for Russia? And what do you mean I got to download a new app? I forgot my fucking password. Is it in the blockchain? I don't know.
The best phone. I didn't even know what blockchain was, but I could have been such a.
Is it in my keychain? What is it?
I could have been buying Bitcoin for $1. At those times, they were asking me to harvest. I remember Finland, the country in Finland, was giving us energy. Just go. I had so much. If I was really like a Steve Witkoff, see, I was the original Steve Witkoff, but I didn't have the brain capacity. I wasn't thinking about how to make money and steal all this money around the world. I was trying to save our democracy. I was in a cult. I would have been a billionaire. You can't.
That's why you got let go, dude. That's why they put you in jail. They're like, listen, this guy will do anything, but he doesn't have the business mind to thieve like we do.
I did. No, I had it. Trust me. I had it.
I swear to God.
I was no. Believe me, I would have made more money than all of them. I just didn't know they were criminal. I thought we're saving the country. I thought we're deep state. That's the whole thing. I thought to myself, once we save the country and I get my Medal of Honor or my Medal of Freedom, then I'll go on and I'll do whatever I have to do. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, why? It was crazy. That's the insane part. Like, so, but the funny part about burner phones. So eventually we went on to the next step to get burner phones, and I have 2 interesting stories about burner phones. One was Rudy Giuliani. I remember calling when I already got arrested, and he was trying to get to me, and I wouldn't pick up his phone call. So they called. He called my lawyer. Rudy calls my lawyer, and he goes to right. He goes, Mr. Bondi, this is Rudy Giuliani, and we'd like to set up with my lawyers a meeting with you and Lev to discuss a joint, maybe some sort of agreement. This is right when I got arrested, right? Like maybe a few weeks afterward, because we were supposed to, I was already talking about testifying in front of Congress, right? So like, we need to sit down, we need to talk. And then he thought he hung up the phone, but he didn't hang up the phone. And this was Rudy Giuliani. And by the way, I have audio of this. I'm going to send. I'm going to find it. I'm going to put this out this weekend. So
Yeah,
he
do it.
goes. He doesn't hang up the phone, and he thinks he goes. He's speaking to somebody. He goes. First of all, he goes, "Hey, make sure he transfers that $200,000 over quickly because I need that money. And by the way, where did they find that? Where did the Democrats find this lawyer for Lev? He's a weed attorney. Like what? They're playing some kind of games. And hey, and by the time we're done with this phone call, make sure you get rid of all the burner phones."
So
A lot of people don't know, but if you remember when Rudy got raided, when they raided
Yeah.
his house and picked up, that was because my lawyer went to the judge and said, Your Honor, they got burner phones." And it's so funny. The Southern District didn't want to do it. The judge forced them to go and go after Rudy's stuff, and that's when they went after all of Rudy's phones. And even then, they screwed up because they covered it up by they get a special magistrate, and they I think said a lot of the stuff was client privilege because he was with Trump's attorney, and Rudy still got away with a lot of the shit because of the client privilege attorney he had with me, with Trump, with all that shit that was in his phone. I remember my lawyer talking. So that was the burner phones. Just story quickly, but go ahead.
Dan, you want to say something?
Well, so when we had the phone records, we found something interesting on frequency analysis. We found that the whole Trump family were calling rotating numbers at scale, and those numbers would rotate. And it looked like they were Wi-Fi, something called bandwidth or Twilio numbers, which are a lot of people know that's VoIP, right? You can switch your numbers in and out. You can rent numbers. You can lease numbers. But we also realized that the phone numbers, the actual area code, everybody knows how a number is actually truncated, or separated. The area codes didn't match up with any known area codes, right? So we knew that they were actually specifically created phone numbers. We were pretty sure those were the burner phones that were being used either by Trump or people close to him, right? Scavino or somebody like that.
Covino, definitely, yeah.
No, yeah. So, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to do a deep dive. I actually wanted to subpoena Twilio and Bandwidth, the actual companies, to see. And boy, I got to tell you, it's interesting because I think people are like, wait a minute. I mean, we can't prove they're burners. I'm like, guys, I know, right? But if I have a sore right here for a long time, you can't prove it's herpes, but it might be, right? So why don't we?
Thank you.
And
Right?
you'd want to get root cause what that thing is on your lip for a
Yeah, I
month, right?
actually want to find out if that actually is a herpes sore before, I kiss my wife, right? She might, I
Right,
don't think there's airborne herpes. I might want to know, right?
right.
So anyway, so that's the kind of stuff that I was trying to get across is like, I understand. I know it's not law enforcement, but we still have subpoena power based on HR 503, right? Based on the actual House resolution. So why aren't we using that in a way where I can actually parse all that? Well, part of it was such a big task. And again, I'm not trying to backwards rationalize the amount of responsibilities the committee had, but the thing is that they were interviewing over 1,000 people, guys, that I wanted to only interview the specific people that had the most volume and frequency issues on their phone records. I thought that was the best way to start. I understood. I knew we had to go down the line. I knew we needed the big hits like with Cassidy and stuff like that. Thank God. What bravery, right?
Yep,
The flip
sure.
side, though, is that's not going to prove your case. What proves your case is the back end data that, yeah, Enrique Tarrio had 25,000 pages of call records and he was in contact with multiple white nationalist groups. That's important, right? It's important that the Oath Keepers were texting Giuliani's son, Andrew. Isn't that important?
Yep.
Don't people sort of want to know that the Oath Keepers had a direct line to the White House? That's important, right? And
Yep.
only when I wrote this book, the only place that did it, one reporter from NBC asked Kellyanne Sorrell from Oath Keepers, she goes, yeah, I was texting Andrew Giuliani. Go look it up. And nothing happened? What? I was like, uh, okay, I'm gonna just go live in the woods, grow a big long beer, and do and microdose peyote, right? What else? What else am I gonna do here, right?
I'll join
So,
you. Let's go do
Yeah, by the
some
way, it's not a
ginger.
terrible thing. I've done it.
right,
It's awesome.
and I know, right, and I know that Latinos with Trump, right, were flown by Patrick Byrne, right. I also know that
Yep,
she had a
Patrick.
relationship, right, with Enrique Tarrio, which is pretty interesting, right. So now you're like, oh my goodness, oh that's interesting. So I know that the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers hated each other, but they were talking pretty frequently through their assistants, and then directly. I have all their phone records. Smoking gun. I know that the White House through the switchboard called somebody who was actually there at 4:34 p.m. on the ground. I have all this stuff, and guess what? Vaporware. I had it. Like I'm like, all we have to do
What do
is
you mean
get
vaporware? Where is it now?
I don't know. And also offer this. We had over 80 phone numbers connected to the White House. I had all the root numbers. So guys don't know.
So all the phone records, phone text, that volume of data you're looking for, switching through those numbers, the actual phone records that you had of Enrique Tarrio and phone calls between the White House and people on the ground that were involved in January 6th that were coordinating with those 5 different white supremacist, white nationalist, violent white supremacist militia groups. All of that data is gone. The hard drives that housed all that data has just now disappeared. Is that
It's
correct?
either gone or they just can't find it right now.
Well, that's why Trump's using the fact that supposedly the J6 committee got rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's the game. It's like where's Waldo now? Everybody's like, I'm saying to you, pointing finger.
Well,
Well,
okay. Speaking of disappearing, though, let me just put a more recent example because it seems like any witness seems to disappear, any evidence seems to disappear under the cover of night. And Alex, if I'm not mistaken, Alexander Smirnov has now disappeared.
unbelievable.
Um, can we talk about that because this is a direct indictment of our original conversation? Where the fuck is Alexander Smirnov, gentlemen? Anybody know?
Lev, would you like to start, Lev? Because I know this is
Yeah.
near and dear to our hearts, is it not?
Yes. So, in the I don't know, over a year of process of us working together, getting all of this documentation, fighting, the disinformation that Mega was doing against the Bidens
And can
right.
I quickly just give a little backstory? Alexander Smirnov's a former FBI informant, Ukrainian origin, Israeli nationality, pled guilty to lying to federal agents at the FBI, creating false records, was in jail, was let out of jail. Now we don't know where the fuck he is. Anyway, continue. And this has something to do with the Hunter Biden bullshit, but continue. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no. This is well. I want to make it clear. It really has nothing to do with Hunter Biden. It has to do with the corruption in our government and to the highest level of degree. Because what this is playing out and the way it played out, this is beyond watching spy movies, folks. So Alexander Smirnov was an FBI informant. He lived in California, worked with the FBI to give him information about organized crime in California. Alexander Smirnov used, just like other informants, used that to his advantage by starting to do business with shady characters, because a lot of times informants are allowed to make money illegally. Yes, folks, they're allowed to make money illegally because they're giving them information about the people they're making. It's a crazy system.
Well,
So
leading into that too, there's a reason why Jeffrey Epstein wasn't apprehended for a solid 25, 30 years. It's a very similar set of circumstances, but we'll get to that in a minute. Continue. Sorry.
right.
Yeah.
So Alexander Smirnov, unbeknownst to me, our paths did not cross at any time in this moment. But while I was in Ukraine, he was also dealing in Israel, Ukraine, with some of the same characters, some of the names like Sam Kislin. Sam Kislin is a gentleman that is organized crime to the level he's donated to Giuliani. He's been, I mean, we could go into, you guys could just Google him, Sam Kislin, you'll understand. And I go back with Sam for many, many years. I actually did his first transaction in Soviet Union, but going back in 1990, 91. That's how far back we go. So he was dealing with Sam Kislin in Ukraine while I was there on behalf of Trump doing this stuff. And they were speaking already, giving information, talking about trying to get information on the Bidens, trying to get some of this information, what was going on aside from what was happening, whatever other informant stuff that he was doing. Now, fast forwarded 2019. I get arrested. The first thing they do is when the FBI and Bill Barr arrested me, and they saw all the shit that I had in my phone, they had a heart attack. So the first thing they went to try to do is seal all the stuff to make sure the stuff never gets out, and to be able, because it was just a lot of shit that I didn't even know I had in my phone. Because remember, I was thinking I'm documenting history. I'm going to share this with my grandkids. This is something that I can't believe. That I'm in the White House.
They're going
All
to
this
name
type of stuff.
buildings after you for saving America. Yeah.
Oh, I was totally on that. I thought I was a mental case. I said my wife, my kids thought I was crazy. Like I'm saving democracy, the deep state. There was nobody that believed more into it. I could have preached when did speeches about the deep state at that moment, believing how that thing worked. So, yeah. Long story short, simultaneously, so when I get arrested in 2019, they seal all my stuff. Then within about 6 months, give or take, later, all of a sudden there's some breaking news, because at that moment Comer was trying to push the whole the Joe Biden and the whole Hunter Biden conspiracy. After I got arrested, they lost their main source inside Ukraine world. So at that moment, and that's when Rudy basically made the choice and go deal directly with the Russians for like, at least when I was there, like I was a buffer, like, yes, certain things might come through, this and that, but we were at least trying to do it. But once I was out of the picture, Rudy went directly to Dirkach, all of these Russian assets, and started literally he flew to he flew to over there with AON, which is a far right wing company, the documentary. They were doing this whole expose about it. Simultaneously, there was this FBI informant, all of a sudden, comes out and says, when I need to change my 302. Now, a 302 is, a lot of you already know what a 302 is from the Epstein files. It's when the FBI or takes your your statement to make it official. So as an informant, he gives these 302s constantly. So after everything, they sit down, and there's tapes. By the way, also I found out that part of the way he was working with his handler, the FBI handler, his FBI handler, they would tape his conversations and they would have a 302 written. So in one of his 302, that I think in 2017 or 18 or something, I don't remember the dates exactly, he wrote down that he was somewhere in a meeting with Burisma. Burisma having to be the company having to do with that, with Hunter Biden, that hired Hunter Biden. So he said, let me go fine tune it, because now I remember, 3 years later, I remember that at that conversation where I was at, there was a conversation brought up that Joe and Hunter Biden got a $5 million bribe. Boom! Breaking news all over the place. And Grassley, I think, was the one actually that went in and got out and took that 302, gave it to Comer, blew this whole thing up. And now Jordan and everybody was out there saying, we got the smoking gun. This FBI informant, 10 years, one of the most best FBI informants that we've ever had. It took so many people down. We have a sworn 302 where Hunter Biden, Joe Biden received $5 million bribe from the CEO, Zlochevsky. Well, unbeknownst to these idiots, in my file that they sealed, I actually had conversations with Zlochevsky. And there was a period where Solomon Rudy had me ask Zlochevsky a series of questions about, did you ever bribe Hunter or Joe Biden? Did you ever meet Joe Biden? Did you ever and all of those questions. And remember, at that point, the offer for Zlochevsky was very sweet for him to go after Joe, say bad things about Joe and Hunter Biden, because Rudy basically offered him a get out of jail free card, that the U.S. wouldn't go after any of the involvement that they were looking into. Because remember, all of these are criminals, and the U.S. Has investigations into all of them all over the world, the FBI. So it was like a little get out of free jail card. And Zlochevsky, in this series of 12 or 14 questions, responded basically, no, yes, Hunter Biden worked for us, but no, he never did any lobbying. No, we never bribed. No, we never paid. Like, literally answers all the questions, contradicts everything this guy agent was saying. Smirnov. So now it becomes a shit show. I start going on Twitter. I'm texting, fuck this. The Giuliani, they're lying. Go into my Bill Barr. My attorney's calling because they opened up a special prosecutor. I forgot his name, but there was a special prosecutor that said in Pittsburgh that he was supposed to collect all the Biden information. So my attorney's calling him saying, we got the stuff, and they won't call us back. They won't respond to us. They won't even pick up my call. My lawyer's like, Lev, I've never seen this in my life. My lawyer actually, at a certain point, started getting scared, like literally that for his own family and stuff, because he's like, I've never seen things like this go on. Like, I've not been doing this for like 25 years in criminal law, and the things that are happening is just not normal. So fast forward the story, eventually. Our pressure works. They realize that this guy is lying, but they need to now shut it up. They need to cover it up. So what they do is then they go and indict and arrest him, their own spy, informant, and say he lied, put him away, and throw him in prison. Now it gets interesting. Here's where it gets completely interesting. Which I don't know if Denver, even. I think you know.
Fucking awesome.
You know the whole time. I think but this is getting crazy. This gets crazy. No, we're gonna get. No, but this gets crazy. So check it out. So all of a sudden, we're watching now. Remember, I have not. The media's calling me, asking me, Lev, do you know this guy, Smirnov? Everybody Smirnov. I'm like, I can't believe I don't know Smirnov. Like we're running all the same names. I can't believe I don't know him in Los Angeles. I don't know Smirnov. Fast forwarded like a month or something, all of a sudden I'm laying in bed. My wife went somewhere. Again, my wife is God bless her soul, because if she's like a link to a lot of the shit, like God works in mysterious ways. But my wife's phone dings, and I pick up the phone, and it's a girl, a female. I'm not gonna mention names, and she's like, Svetlana, I know we haven't spoken for like 15 years. I need to speak to your husband, Lev. My cousin is in big trouble. I'm thinking, who the hell is this person that wants to speak to me and that her cousin's in big trouble? Well, if you guys remember, when Smirnov was arrested, the only family he had here was his cousin, Lenore, that lived in Miami, who was also Israeli. And this whole big thing started going about how she's an Israeli spy and how this and all of this. And this thing was blowing out and going crazy. So I tell Svetlana, I say, Svetlana, can you call her, see what does she want? Like, what is that? Because now I'm getting ready to come. So she calls her up and she's like, listen, this is what's going on. This is my cousin that's arrested, Smirnov. Alexander Smirnov is my cousin, and I need to speak to Lev because I think they're trying to do to him what they tried to do to Lev. I got goosebumps. I'm like, holy shit, who do I call? I call right away Hunter and Abby Lowe and the whole team. I'm like, who am I going to call? I'm calling. Oh, and I call Jamie Raskin. I start calling them. I'm like, wait a second. I just got contacted by Alexander Smirnov. Like, what are we doing? So now all of a sudden, Lev goes into, again, spy mode. So they tell me, okay, Lev, can you get us information? So now Lev all of a sudden starts building a relationship with Smirnov, his cousin. I'm going out. I'm meeting with her. I'm all of a sudden now she's introducing me to all his legal team, his attorneys. I got his attorneys now introducing him to Abby Lowe. I mean, we got this whole thing going on. And I shit you not, Denver. I shit you not, people, that at some point we were this close where I felt he was really, because he was already like losing it. He was 6 months already. They held him in California, in Los Angeles at the Twin Towers. He was not allowed visitations from nobody but two of his lawyers. He was literally, they held, and I trust me, I spent over a month in solitary confinement, 6 months. You start losing it. He was ready to do whatever, and then at some point he was really, I spoke to one of his lawyers, and he was telling me set up the meeting with Abby and Congressman Raskin and anybody else because, but it has to be, they have to protect him, and he's willing to talk. And the one thing he told me is that because he didn't tell me everything, but he told me was that the conversations between him and his handler disappeared. The tapes disappeared, and the 302s disappeared, and that it did not go down that way. Without him telling me, my interpretation was he was told to come in and write that 302, and that because nobody ever thought that 302 would ever get, it would never, it was, if Grassley, if the Republicans didn't push it, nobody would know who he was. Nobody it would just be because they needed that to protect themselves.
They suckered him into coming into,
right.
Yeah.
And then they basically, and then I remember speaking to his lawyer, and I'll never forget because Hunter's, I won't mention, the lawyers told me, he's like, something fishy. He's really close, and Denver knows, he's really close to the Republicans. It was like his Las Vegas lawyer. I won't mention his name. And I call him up, and he goes to me, he goes, Love, he goes, you are such an amazing person. You know, you're still like loved on the other side. He gave me some kind, remember he said some kind of shit like about like that he's, and I never forget. I called Hunter, and I said, they got to him. And I called David Kozlowski. Remember David? I called David. I said, David, they got to him. Huh?
Yep, know him well.
Yeah, and I called Dave. I said they got to him. I said he's not going. And literally 3 days later, they announced that he took a plea deal. So he takes a plea deal for 6 years. They convict him. They shut him up. He doesn't talk. That's it. They put him away. Everybody cuts off ties with me. Everybody cuts off ties. Now we don't know. Now fast forward it. Here we are, 2000 in November. All of a sudden, this guy Smirnov was getting sued civilly. So servant went to serve him in prison, just like anybody else with the file. When he got there, and I'll tell you a little bit the story, they told him he's not here. He goes, what do you mean? But he's registered here. So in a period of 4 months, he would go back to the prison to try to serve him because he's registered at this prison, but he's not there. They can't find him. Finally, after 4 months of trying to find Alexander Smirnov, the sheriff comes out and says he was released on furlough. All of a sudden, why was he released on furlough? Nobody knows. Some people are saying because he has glaucoma. I don't know if glaucoma. I've been in prison. Plenty of people have not only glaucoma, but I could tell you they're living there on dialysis and they're not getting out of prison. You know what I'm saying to you? So the fact, so right now we are searching. Where is Waldo? Because the last thing I heard, Denver, and this is crazy. And I spoke to Hunter and the guys just literally a few days ago. I said he's planning on pardoning. There's a major pushback going on in the White House, but he's planning on pardoning. He wants to pardon Smirnov, make him a hero again, turn him how it was and have him come out and give this whole about the Bidens and go back to about try and get rid of this pardons, and I mean this whole shit is just insane.
Well, the thing is, Dean and Lev, remember we talked about past performance is indicative of future performance. They're going to have to bring the Biden stuff back up to try to sway voters or try to depress the vote for the Democrats. A lot of people believe this bullshit. When you look at Smirnov, too, we tracked his money lines, and they were coming from overseas, from Israel, Ukraine. He had built something. Everybody needs to look up a UBO, right? They were building covered entities in Milwaukee and actually setting up business lines there to funnel money through multiple shell companies. So Smirnov was certainly a criminal. Was he a state-sponsored actor? We don't know. But we know, again, if you get shot on purpose, shot on accident, you're still getting shot, right? It doesn't matter, right? All we know is that he lied about the Bidens. He was convicted. Now he's looking for a pardon because Trump's going to utilize these same people. So here's my thing, Lev and Dean. We can say, "Oh my God, we're not a purposeful Russian information factory," but we're certainly even accidentally laundering Russian information through the American media ecosystem, right? That's the first thing. You know, the second thing too, I've been watching some of the threads in the comments, and I want to say this really quickly. There's nuance to everything when you're dealing with this kind of data and compartmented stuff. Like when Lev was talking about, and Dean, when you're talking about all these different things happening simultaneously across these layers of the same people, the same issues, the same limiting factors happening in an investigation. So I want to tell people this really quickly, and they need to hear me. Just because the J6 committee or just because we couldn't get to the bottom of Hunter Biden and really protect him the way we needed to because he was being lied about, just because we're trying to fight the Epstein files on a level we've never tried to fight before to get them, doesn't mean people are bad. It means they don't know everything. So I want to talk about just really quickly, because I've seen these comments. I don't want people to jump to conclusions. There were 5 congressional members. Now, I loved everybody, right? I mean, at the beginning, it was one team, but it didn't turn out that. But there's congressional members who try to do the best on the January 6th committee, and I want to tell you who they are. Even when one of them said something bad about me, and another one did, they actually came back and said, hey, we were wrong, and they were. But Jamie Raskin, Adam Kinzinger, Elaine Luria, Stephanie Murphy, and Pete Aguilar. Those 5 were really involved. But the thing was, we had 6 different teams that were compartmented that didn't always share information because they didn't even know what they could share. You had lawyers trying to do a counterterrorism investigation and doing the best they could. And they did a great job in some respects. But I want to tell people, again, there's nuance, there's compartments, there's data that's lost, there's different types of political agendas, there's different types of authorities. Congress was doing something it never done before, was trying to actually investigate terabytes of data for a coup attempt. And that's very difficult. So I'm not trying to, again, to make excuses. I don't want people to jump to conclusions that somehow everybody in the
Very well
community knew
said. Yeah.
everything. They didn't know anything sometimes because they were in their specific lane. And they were messaging to that lane based on the hearings. And their staff was doing most of the work. You guys know congressional representatives don't actually work, right? So you had the staff actually
Very
feeding
well
them all
said.
that information, right? And they're trying to actually take all of that and get to the point where they might have not looked at the phone records. They might not have known that that data even existed.
Wow.
Even though I thought they did. They weren't being briefed because there were so many different compartments that I wasn't even aware of when it comes to information sharing. So I just wanted to put that out there.
What?
Smirnov, bad actor, bad finances, evil, criminal. I don't know if he's evil.
But
Maybe he's just stupid.
yeah,
But
I just want to say
go
you
ahead.
just said something so important and so incredible, Denver, and I think a lot of people don't understand. And I want to reiterate it because that's why was what was part of Trump's plan with the Epstein files, and what I think the difference, what's happening now with the Epstein files that you guys didn't have back then, is the crowdsourcing. That right now, how the world is now, everybody's out there helping. It's not just before it was just you. Now you got millions of peoples all over the world.
Yeah, the J6 committee is about 40 million strong in America right now.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine, Denver, if they would have released all of the J6 just like they released the Epstein files and allowed all these independent journalists to help and go search through all those
Been
records
over
and all
for
the
him.
files? That would be. That's what I'm saying to you, and that's why I also realize, and I think a lot need to understand, that's what's going on with the Epstein files. These congressional people, they have limited staffs. They are dealing with so many different things. None of them have the agendas, or they're half the time they're raising money to stay in office. I mean, it's just such a crazy. So Trump understood that. The DOJ understood that, and that's why they dumped all this file, because they understood that it's just a matter of time till they leave off, because they can't educate themselves enough to go after them, because it's constantly looking for needles in a haystack. Same thing happened with January 6th. There was so much information. There was so much different thing. And like Denver saying, yes, he was giving it to him. It was logic. But all of these congressional people, like somebody was more worried about a tax hike, or somebody was more worried about death threats.
They
Somebody
still,
was,
and I was
you
a
know,
congressman, right, Lev? Like I
right,
know what they were going through,
exactly.
and I was trying to feed them, but you know what? I didn't have enough teats.
Yep.
I couldn't give enough milk, man. And I was
Yeah.
trying.
No, I know, and
Jeez.
that's why, to your point, I think that because the time has changed, I think now what you're saying is so tremendously right. Now, because with the Epstein files, we're seeing a little difference, because now we're seeing, like Ellie and all of these, independent journalists like Zev and others that we have now, and I actually, set up the pipeline with Jamie Raskin and Arthur
Jasmine
from the
Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett were there, because
Yeah.
they don't have this. So I'm saying to you, hey guys, we're going to feed you all the top stuff. and then you guys filter it through it, and then so when you go in the skiff, you know what to. So you're not just sitting there for 2 hours. You don't know that, and that's how we got to Zorro Ranch. It was our help and investigative work that now they've uncovered Zorro Ranch. Howard Lutnick is next on the line. I mean, the stuff that we're uncovering about Howard Lutnick, it's just, I mean, Zev Shalev and Follow the Money. I can't even tell you, Denver. It's incredible. But I want to talk to you. We do a lot of the past. I think we need to talk about something extremely serious that's happening now, and this is what I've been sounding the alarms. I don't know what you've been hearing, but I really am trying to figure out how we could stop this and how we could help it figure it out. So what I'm hearing about what we saw play out in Georgia. So this is what I heard. Denver,
Tulsi?
yeah, with Tulsi about 6-7 months ago, give or take. They had a meeting where Trump basically set up this group led by Tulsi, and that's why we've not been seeing Tulsi involved in Venezuela, Russia, all of this, Middle East, because she's
Puerto
been
Rico.
none of this stuff. She's been concentrating on election reform, as they call it, part of Project 2025, to be able to keep him in office forever. The plan was she has Ratcliffe from the CIA, obviously. She has Bondi, and she has Patel, which is the main group that's put around it. They chose Georgia as the first state because what I'm hearing, and the plan is to do twofold. They're planning on putting indictments and arresting poll workers and individuals to show that there was corruption going on for vote counting. And the other thing is that, and this is the one I want to ask you, because which scares me the most, and this is the important, because the vote counting I understand, but why Tulsi is involved and why they got Ratcliffe involved, Denver, is because they're trying to also put a narrative in there. I'm hearing that there was what's it called, foreign interference, not Russian, foreign interference that could be Venezuelan or could be from Venezuela or from China or something like that, that would enable them then to say, well, now we have to, in other states, which primarily are the 15, 60 states that Trump is talking about, to infiltrate certain rules of how they could now count by federalizing. Because when Trump says federalizing, everybody starts thinking that he's going to have the states. No, he uses that term as having who's going to count the votes, how he could make sure that he has control of the final count, the final say, and manipulation. So that's what I'm hearing. That is very scary. I spoke to people in Congress. They're shitting bricks also, because just because we know the information, what can you tell me? Help me on any of this, Deborah.
Well, page 191 of my book, The Breach. So
here we go.
Available anywhere you get your fine books,
well,
ladies and
I hate
gentlemen.
doing this. You guys know that, right? I hate
That's
doing
why I'm doing it for you.
I
Yes.
know. Okay, after Trump's loss was projected on November 7th, 2020, some MAGA hardliners turned to Executive Order 13848. They had their own expansive interpretation of what the order allowed. These Trump allies thought it could be a trigger to push members of Congress and Vice President Mike Pence to refuse to certify Biden electors on January 6th, or perhaps that the order could even be used to invoke martial law or the Insurrection Act. We all know of this because it played out in full public view. And you're like, Denver, what is EO 13848? EO 13848 came from Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian election interference. And you know who signed EO 13848? Trump, September
Yep.
20th, 2018. Not only that, some of the people who actually wrote it are incredible servants, Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor. Guys, I'm telling you, there's a lot here, right? So what Lev is talking about right now, what I'm telling you guys, is that when you look at, and that's executive disorder, it's my chapter, is I tracked, when you're talking about Antrim County, Michigan, do you guys remember the cyber ninjas when you're making what's called
Yeah.
Zona? Right? What they're trying to do is recreate foreign interference, because even at that point, EO 13848 doesn't do that, but they were trying to manipulate the language. If you talk to Chris or Miles, it doesn't do that at all. But what Patrick Byrne was trying to do. He was working with Sidney Powell. He posted on his website. She was rewriting an executive order to seize voting machines, to have the actual ability to do that. At the same time, they were crafting NSPMs, National Security Presidential Memorandums, to seize voting machines. Phil Waldron, who came up with this whole the election was stolen, was briefing Trump and Giuliani, our good friend Lev, right all the way up to the top on this. It's the same plan.
Same plan. That's right. Same plan.
The
And now they
same
have the
thing, guys.
same thing. That's why I'm glad, Denver. Thank you, because we keep screaming at it. It's they're now reinventing the wheel. Now the only difference is now they have full control of all
Full
the
control.
powers. Before, the reason why their plan didn't work is because Pence didn't listen. Because people in Georgia, the governor of Georgia,
Well,
didn't
and they
or
had
the
real oversight too, right? They had people like stand up and do the right thing for the Constitution,
you
whether it
know
was
what?
Kemp in Georgia, whether it was Pence.
Well, yeah, but you know the funny part is I'm not gonna say who's good, who's bad. Yes, you had people stand up. You know, even like Bill Barr stood up, even though Bill Barr's garbage and Bill Barr, what's it called? But Bill Barr stood up for the office. You know, by not trying to walk away and not giving Trump that investigation that he was dying to have
Right.
opened up until what I'm saying. So yeah, there was a lot of thank God that there were people there for whatever reason at that time, for whatever reason, stopped him. Now we don't have those people there. That's the problem. Right now, we have around them are hardcore enablers. And that's why our only stop is Congress, Senate. Our only stop, the only way, because if we don't, and I say this all the time, Denver, I say, and that's why I keep talking about the Epstein files is, with the shit that they're pulling and what we're talking about right now with Tulsi I'm scared of, having to be able to have a true and honest election. I'm scared that if they start counting and the counts are not going their way, that they just don't hold counting, come up with some crazy shit and announce, Marshall, what I'm saying to you, and we'll count it. I'm scared to get to that point. That's why I keep saying right now is we shouldn't wait, even though we should prepare to vote now, but we should right now make sure, because right now, especially somebody that used to be in Congress, and maybe you could touch on that, it's like we literally have of the slimmest of slimmest margins. Johnson is not somebody that has control of the House. Yes, there's a lot of fear and intimidation by Trump and his people into these Congress people, but we've already seen with the Epstein files a lot of people uniting. How can we use this right now to flip another one or two people to start having accountability, to not have Pam Bondi walk in there? Because I was there in Washington. I sat in that room watching Pam Bondi not return. I was in the room when the survivors stood up and she wouldn't even face them. How do we get at least another one, two, three people in Congress to like get a spine, because we could start this now. No, Denver. I mean, we could, if we were to start, subpoenas, investigations, into all of this, it would put a damper into a lot of things they're doing all over the place. Am I crazy, or tell me?
No, you're absolutely, there's courage there to do that. I've always said it was going to be a house to house fight, right? To use sanity and rationality to turn this over. But it's very difficult when you have Republican congressional members who think that there's undersea UFO bases. I don't know if you can actually have a rational discussion with them, right? And I think a lot of people, I go
Hey,
back.
I didn't hear you mention Tim Burchett, but thank you. I
And I
appreciate
know
that.
Tim, and I tell you, when I saw that, I was like, okay, I don't know if we actually have really good policymakers in Congress right now.
Yeah, he's
Listen,
fucking psycho, dude. He's going on about FBI, the
but
UFOs and being visited by aliens, and he's recording these commercials in front of Burger King. Anyway,
yeah, well,
continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I guess what I'm saying is that right now the midterms are the most important thing. Everybody wants to say about the most important elections. When you see the people, and I think people need to hear what Lev is saying, there is no Hirsch in this, in this administration. There's no lawyers around Trump telling him his nuts, right? And by the way, I know Mike Pence. I've met Mike Pence, and JD Vance is no Mike Pence. JD Vance would have done the exact opposite of what Mike Pence did. He's a sycophant, right? He's a asexual bud off of Trump's ass, right? So that's what you have, right? He's going to actually say, this is what we're doing. So I think what people need to realize, it is house to house. This has been a facts dropping, sort of data dropping, coffee and tea. I can't even believe this is happening. Actually, I
Right, me
really,
neither.
I never really thought that how we could link, because the links aren't hard. This isn't difficult, guys. It's the same people doing the same shit using the same playbook. That's it. And what Lev and I and Dean are talking about is you can look at the metadata to support their shenanigans. We can look at the criminal activities. We can look at the money lines, the financial lines. It's the same people. And when I ask everybody, if you're ever in an argument with somebody about this, ask them, Steve Bannon, right? Big friend of Epstein. You don't think there's anything to see there, right? Start
Thank you.
hitting him in the throat with facts, data,
Thank
and
you.
don't stop. And if somebody tries to gaslight you, say January 6th was a day of peace or it was just a spontaneous thing, no, it's not. It's proven it's not. The only reason that people are arguing about it is because we got a disinformation complex that's funded by domestic propaganda peddlers and foreign propaganda peddlers, many of them from Russia. So that is what's happening. And I just want people to know, don't back down. There's no reason to back
No.
down because facts and data are on your side. So if you're at a party and some MAGA guy comes up, sadly, or MAGA gal, and goes, J6 was a day of peace, tell them, no, J6 was a coup attempt. And why? And they'll say, well, why? I say, well, first of all, look at the person. If you're supporting a felon, a sexual abuser, and a fraudster, maybe, just maybe, he's not telling you the truth. Have a nice day, get a beer, and get the hell out of here. So that's really how I would approach the argument. Go at the personal level, what they've done, the badness that's inherent in them. You don't have to get into the weird data and facts. It's the same people, guys.
You know what? Such a great point, and we pay attention to that low hanging fruit, and that low hanging fruit, whether it's Liz Cheney or whether it's other people, it's Trump, right? Let's just keep going after Trump. And yes, you have to. He's hiding the Epstein files. He is a pedophile protector. He himself, I believe, to be a complete pedophile. I know he's an adjudicated rapist. I know he's a 34-time felon. That's an easy target. But the reason why I love this resistance is the same reason guys like Steve Schmidt are my fucking
Yep.
spirit animals, because we want pelts. We want to go after every single fucking human being that had anything to do with changing the direction of your democracy, destroying your democracy, supporting a rapist and a pedophile and a felon. But more importantly, the same people are attached to him, but he's got worse people now, and they're going to fucking do it again. They're going to do it again. And we're laying out how they're going to do it, because not only is it the same process, these are just different triggers at their disposal to be able to steal your vote, to take away your fucking free will, which they're currently doing right now. And to your point, when people are at a party and some MAGA goes, hey, I think Donald Trump's getting a bad rap. He's doing a lot. I hear this from people. He's doing a lot for human trafficking. I'm like, that is the biggest fucking human trafficker on the face of the earth. And he was the centrifuge for the biggest pedophile human trafficking ring on the face of the earth. Just kill them with facts, but don't ever let off. Like, never take your foot off the gas. Go after the fucking Steve Bannons. Anybody notice what Steve Bannon's not talking about for the first time in, I don't know, several years? The Epstein files. Why? He's fucking all over it.
He's beyond, and folks, actually on that note, we have a petition. Make sure, guys, throw it out there. The volunteers, throw it in there. We have a petition. We have over 30,000 signatures. Denver already on it. It's a petition to subpoena Bannon and all of these people. Michael Wolff, that's all over the Epstein files. Steve Bannon, Howard Lutnick, and the list keeps growing. We just added Andrew, formerly known as Prince Andrew, to the and just folks keep signing that petition, because we need to get to 50,000, and then we're going to give it to the Congress and let them start dealing with it. Your voices matter, right, Denver? They take notion when people start talking, because it's your votes. It's important. So sign the petition. Also, I want to definitely, first of all, Denver, I don't know if you guys know, we've been on for over an hour and 40 minutes. This has blown by that so quickly. I want to thank you, Denver, because I know I asked you for an hour, and we're gonna do, for all of you out there, I know everybody, we're gonna do this more often.
Oh, you guys are friends now, and you've got a lot more shit to uncover together, by the way. I'm just happy to ride shotgun.
Well, now that Denver is ready to, listen, he had things he was dealing with, but now Denver's ready to, and I think he has some plans. plans that he's going to announce, and we all have some interesting stuff we're going to be talking about very soon that's going to blow all your minds because we're not just stopping. We're going to, I told you, this year is a year of action, a year of not just talking, but actually trying to do something. Because if we don't get our democracy back this year, we are done, folks, for a long time to come. Because if we do not somehow by 2026 get our control of either the House, the Senate, or both, sayonara for a while. Move to Spain or Russia. I mean, Russia might even be better. I mean, over there, women can get abortions with no problem. Not like the United States. It's a different world now. Just think about it. Russia, you could go and get an abortion, no problem. United States, you could end up in jail if you want to. This is how we flip flop. But before we go, we have a little special. Denver, if you could spend another couple of minutes, we have a Q&A. Dean, if you could take a look at some of the questions. Well, if anybody has some questions for Denver or me or Dean
Yeah,
on
I've got a
these
couple that
subjects.
I kept noticed. One is a lot of people have asked the same question. This is kind of the most asked question: is
Yeah.
when will Mr. Riggleman run for president? Can you please ask him that?
What, president of
Let's.
the Moose Lodge? What are you talking about? Like,
I
are we
endorse
Nah,
talking?
Denver for the president of the Moose Lodge. I endorse it,
right?
Denver.
Yeah, am I endorsed for that? Hey,
The water buffaloes.
well, I am going to be, I will run again. I wasn't going to, Dean. Lev, I was done, right? After my congressional stint in the J6 committee, I'm like, maybe, I have AI companies, I have whiskey distilleries, I'm doing, fairly well in business. I have kids, grandkids, I'm loving life. But I feel like that there comes a time with people who hate politics have to get into politics. And, I've been there, I've done that. I tried for years, guys. I wrote the book, I did 60 Minutes. I tried to do new stuff for 2 years, and it felt like I was pissing in the wind. And I also knew that, I had sort of made enemies on both sides of the aisle, just trying to, maybe I was leaning too far forward and I was being very blunt and confrontational. I still am a bit, but I think there does come a time where I need to run for higher office. I don't think I would run
Mm.
for Congress ever again. It would have to be an executive position like governor or POTUS. The thing is, you have to get over so many things, right? Imposter syndrome. Am I the right guy? Could I actually do it? Do I have the energy? Am I mentally and physically ready for something like that? And who cares about me anyway, right? You gotta have all that because I'm not a narcissist or sociopath, so it puts me behind other politicians. So that's the thing. But I think I have to, and I'm going to. So I'm not quite
Awesome.
sure when, but it's happening. I'm going to lean forward into that pretty hard and start to swing that axe again.
Well, I just want to tell you that we will definitely, we got your back. We will support you whatever decision you make
Team
because we need.
Riggs.
Yeah, well, we need more people like you, not only in
Mm.
executive positions but also in Congress. The one thing I liked what you said is you made enemies on both sides, and that's the important part because you need to be able. Enough of this. I'm serious. Enough of this shit. Vote one. It doesn't matter who it is. If you're a Republican, you gotta vote all Republican. If you're a Democrat, you gotta vote. No, enough. Vote for who makes most sense for what it's a free
Character.
country. It's America. It's
Yeah.
character. It doesn't mean just because he has a D or a R in front of their name that makes him all of a sudden holier than holy. No. They're all human beings. They all look at the person, look at the character, look at what exactly that person is planning to do. And right now, we need more Denver Riggermans. We need more people like that, not only in executive positions, but in also statewide positions, local positions, Congress, because the cancer that Trump and his mega infiltrated over the past 8 years is not just in the hierarchy of our offices. It's spread down all the way down the line. There are states that, I speak to some subscribers, guys, where they live in states in little rural areas where it's such mega county that these people are scared literally to get a speeding ticket because, if they don't look the right. People are moving. People are going to work in different places. They're taking their kids to different schools. You got to think about what hospital, what doctor. I was speaking to one of our subscribers, Dr. Eric Lovelove. I met him yesterday for lunch, and it's incredible because you got to think about who you're gonna, who your doctor is, who your patient, because who your lawyer is. Think about when I got arrested, I was blessed that I was able to have a lawyer like Joe Bondi that I knew for 20 years that it wasn't about political side, because who do you trust? We are so divided. We are so politicized in everything you do, from the tire to a simple thing. Like, I'll give you an example. Me and my family went to dinner like a few weeks ago. Denver, you're not gonna love that. You guys gonna love this one. We go to Fago de Chao, where they make that they bring you the meat. So we sit down, and the kids, and we're sitting there, and nobody's serving us, right? And we're like, what the hell is going on, right? All of a sudden, I see another server come over. Like, well, he goes, sir, Mr. Parnas. I didn't even know he knew me. He goes, I apologize. He goes, we are getting a different server for you right now. That server that recognized you, and then we're gonna get changed. And I almost flipped out, guys. I was like, holy shit. They literally got me a server that loved me. We had a great time. But the point wasn't that we ended up with a great. The point of it is, like, literally the server that was
The
serving me
MAGA server was uncomfortable giving you your food? That's what I'm understanding?
not only that he was uncomfortable, they were worried that he doesn't put something in my food. That he doesn't, that he doesn't spit in your food, doesn't. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, just think about it, or do it, because this is the insane. So
That
you go.
happened to me.
So
That happened to you?
exactly. Oh
Did
yeah,
you
I'm
have someone
sure.
put some pubes in your steak? Is that
Yeah,
what happened?
but I'm such a man, I ate it anyway.
I love
Has
it,
that happened
Devin.
to you? Have you literally been turned down because you're like, listen, I don't like Donald Trump? Has that happened to you?
We had a server. Yeah, we not only as soon as there's a couple things that happen. Number one, they really like me, and it's a little bit uncomfortable, right? It's like,
Yeah.
please don't sit on my lap, right? And then the other, the second one are the people who actually give me the hairy eyeball, and then they're very, very angry. And then we've had to ask for another server multiple times. Also, my daughters get approached. Guys, listen, that's probably another show.
Yeah,
One of the reasons
definitely.
why I haven't run in the last 4 to 5 years has been
Mm,
what my daughters went through. So,
mm.
anyhow, yeah,
Anyway, yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
yeah, that
absolutely.
definitely has happened to
All
me.
Yeah.
right, listen, I got one more question. I got one more question because we got a couple minutes left, and the question
Yeah.
is, and this is interesting follow up to the original question, is when is Lev going to run for office? It's interesting because, like, I don't see politician in either one of you, and I'm fortunate enough to know you both very well, and I think that's what we need, right? Like,
You,
so anyway, go ahead and answer the question.
you know what? I wouldn't even know what would be involved, but I tell you, I would. If it was up to me, I would love to. I mean, I would go in there, and Denver knows I would stir shit. I would turn them upside down. I mean, from left to right. I would. I truly believe they need people. They need somebody
You go
like
in there
me.
with a shovel and a pickaxe and go, okay, it's
Oh
time to
my
get to the
God.
bottom of all of it.
Can you imagine that all of them, these people, that the corrupt individuals that have dealt with me, that would have to face me and now talk to me about policy, knowing that I,
Oh, the
not,
Schadenfreude.
can you imagine? Can you imagine their faces, knowing how much money I raised them through these foreign PACs and through all of this stuff, that they would be like the shitstorm. But the best part would be, you're making me dream now. The best part would be watching Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, all of them say, because remember, for 6 years, they all still say they never met me. They don't know me. Can you imagine? Can you imagine me now sitting there where they have to swear me into Congress, and they would have to actually be with? Can you imagine, Denver, if I would be questioning Pam Bondi or that? Can you imagine? That would be. I mean, that would be. I wish.
Hey, listen, I think we're onto something here because there's nothing I'd love more. That'd be the ultimate congressman troll job.
That would be.
That'd be
But
awesome.
listen. You know what? I've learned that one thing. I'll tell you guys this: never say never, because we've seen crazy things happen. But I'm still, I don't even know what the legalities would be. But never
Dude,
say
if George
never.
Santos can become a congressman, I'm pretty sure fucking Lev Parnas can become a congressman. And with that, we'll wrap up coffee and tea with
Yeah,
Lev
but
Parnas. Lev remembers. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry that before we go,
No?
we have a special. Everybody, before we go, I want everybody to go hit on that Kai marker there. We have a little over 2,500 people here. I want to make sure each and every one of you, Denver has joined our incredible community here on Substack. He's been quiet for a while. He's going to be more active. There's a lot of things happening. He's also does a lot of stuff with the Save America movement. He's just came back from Greenland with the guys. And that incredible work there. To all of you, incredible stuff. And we're going to be, now that Denver has decided to start unleashing some of this stuff, me and Denver and Dean, we'll talk about doing maybe a once a week special about doing something. So we're definitely, because at the end of the day, the point of is getting you guys the information and and making sure you guys get educated. And that's why we don't have paywalls. The information is key. But the paid subscribers help keep us afloat. Some of us might not need it. Some of us need it. At the end of the day, it all helps to make sure the algorithm, and this is what I've learned, is how the algorithm works. Because if you like the information and you want this information to be key, it's all part of subscribing, becoming paid subscribing, making that influence. That's how these algorithm works. But I want to, Denver, thank you so much for taking out 2 hours of your time on a Saturday. This has been incredible. I missed you. I'm glad you're back.
Miss you too.
Thank you so much. And I wish you an incredible day. Keep kicking ass. Keep doing what you're doing. Go, and go check on your bourbon right now,
I am.
because
After this
before,
2 hours,
you know what I'm saying? You need a bourbon, because before we go, what we do is when you log off, stay on though. After you log off, come back on, because we're going to bring my sister on. She ends us off every Saturday with a positive message.
The center of positive affirmation.
Center of positive. So once you cut off, we're going to bring her up for 2 minutes, have her give us our
dude, I'll get off. I'll get off and let you do it, and you can keep Denver on, and I'll watch.
Denver, stay on. What? Yeah, okay.
You got experiences. You got experiences.
staying live.
I'm gonna watch. You stay there. Yeah. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Okay. You met. Oh wait, Denver. This is gonna be interesting. Go, Dean. This is gonna be fun. Go, Dean. Denver, stay on. I got a surprise for you.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Oh, there we go. Sorry, guys. We're almost there. Hold up. What did I just do here?
Almost there. Almost there.
Where, oh, here we go. Okay. All right. I did. All right. So I just invited somebody special that's gonna that you actually have met. Remember this?
Unbelievable.
Remember Denver?
I do. Welcome, Denver. You were always welcome in my house, and it's such a pleasure to see you again.
Good to see you.
Denver, remember, this is exactly where we're met. Luda's sitting where I sat.
Right there.
That's the table.
This is where we met. I was living at Luda's house at the time. I just got out of prison. And this is like some memory, folks, for all of you.
Such a pleasure. And because we have little shtickle that we're doing every Saturday, I would love you to join for a wonderful message that I have for everybody to share today.
I'm ready.
What one thing we cannot afford to lose is time. Time is the gift. None of us get it back. So please use it to be kind, to forgive, to love yourself, and to love other people a little more every day. Your energy, your words, your presence, they matter more than you know. Even when you don't see it, you are making a difference by becoming a paid subscriber, by joining the GoFundMe to help Ukrainian people, by signing the petition, and for being here, spending your time with us, and to help us to get our democracy back. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Oh, I love you.
Good to see you. That was wonderful. So good to see you.
That was so
My
wonderful.
pleasure. I
Well,
hope you all received it because I meant it and it came from the heart.
I think that's an incredible. I just want to touch on that for a second because a lot of us don't realize, Luda, what you just said, time. And I've learned it by being when I went to prison. The one thing we can't get back is time. The one thing that once, and we live through life so quickly. Those moments when your child turns around and say, "Hey, dad or mom," okay, and you turn around and say, "Well, give me a second." And you don't give him that second. That second never comes back because time moves on.
Absolutely.
That phone call you want to make to a loved one,
Absolutely.
and you decide, "Hey, I'll do it later," and you don't make that phone call. You never do it again, and you never know if you're able to do it. So I think that's an incredible message, especially Denver, what we were talking about, because all that time that has passed on, that we have lost as a humanity, as a society, to watch this
Humanity.
unload. It's time to take our country back. It's time to take our freedom back. It's time to take our democracy back. So, Luda, thank you so much for that. Denver, God
Thank
bless you,
you.
my brother. Thank you guys
My
for all
man.
joining.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
subscribe to Denver, subscribe to Ludmila, Center of Positive Energy,
Thank you.
definitely Dean Blundell, our man, and to all the independent journalists out there. God bless you guys. Have a
God
wonderful,
bless you.
incredible weekend. Denver,
Thank
take care. I'll see
God
you
bless,
guys
brother.
later.
See
Take
you.
care,
See you
guys.
guys.
Bye
Bye.
bye.